Hello guys and welcome to Walking Project. Today I'm going to do a quick camera comparison between the OnePlus 6 and the Samsung Galaxy S9. Now, I think OnePlus has finally nailed the cameras on this phone because probably that's the only OnePlus device that I would ever take on a holiday with me to get my photos done, guys. Now, in terms of cameras, the front-facing camera of the OnePlus 6 is 16 megapixel, where the front-facing camera of the Samsung Galaxy S9 is just 8 megapixel. That's twice the resolution. But not every time this translates to, an actual double the quality of the photos. In most cases it doesn't, especially if it's interpolated. But anyway, now we're testing the video cameras actually. Now I'm filming in 4K on the S9 because that's the maximum resolution, and only in 1080p on the OnePlus 6 because of course this is the maximum resolution as well. So now let's just do a quick sprint, guys, and see which one does a better job. On the front-facing cameras you've got only digital image stabilization, no optical one. So keep that in mind. Let me just switch hands like that and see what do we have over here, guys. I'm kind of struggling to look at all the cameras at the same time, so yeah, it might look a little bit weird, but that's about it, guys. You can check the dynamic range actually over here. Let me know what do you think. I'm gonna do like that a little bit. I can see the clouds a little bit better on the S9, but my face is darker. Anyway, I'm gonna keep my comments after that when I assemble those videos on the computer, because it's very different to what you see on the screen, and once you upload them on the PC it's something completely different. I had this problem on the OnePlus 5T. Everything looked absolutely amazing on the phone screen, but once I uploaded them to the computer they were a little bit meh. But now it's quite close, I believe. But anyway, for those of you who are gonna say, oh, the OnePlus only films in 1080p, well, let's switch to 1080p on the S9 as well then. Okay, I'm back to 1080p now on both phones, and let's see how it is. I guess it's gonna be a little bit more fair this time. Look at this guy. Yep, just on time, yeah. So let's just do a quick sprint over here, guys. By the way, my battery is down on the OnePlus 6, so I really don't know how much more I'm gonna be able to shoot, but anyway, I'm gonna squeeze as much as I can from it, guys. Let's just again check the dynamic range. Man, that's a very good look, by the way. The S9 and the OnePlus 6 on one rig. If there are any tech enthusiasts on this almost deserted beach, they can be like, oh, this guy is how do you say, dope? Nah, I'm probably gonna did that. Anyway, let's just switch to a couple of selfies, guys, and then we're gonna have a look at the back cameras. Okay guys, so I've got both of the back cameras working at the moment on the OnePlus 6 and the Galaxy S9. I'm filming in 4K 60 FPS guys, that's UHD resolution. I can't really tell from the screens of the phones what is going on, but what I know is that on the Galaxy S8 you don't have the option enabled for video stabilization on the 4K 60 FPS, but from what I can see on the screen it looks like the image is quite stabilized, to be honest with you. So I really have no idea and I haven't tested what are the results going to be. I guess when I upload them to the computer, then I'm gonna comment on that on the end of the video. But let's just do a quick sprint over here to see how each of those phones is doing when it comes down to stabilizing the image, guys. Right. Okay, now let's switch to the regular 4K resolution. Okay guys, now I'm filming in 4K 30 FPS, that's UHD again. Let's just check the dynamic range like that quickly. The image, for whatever reason, is a little bit shaky on the OnePlus 6 at the moment, and the thing is that I don't really have an option to disable or even enable the electronic image stabilization. We're gonna have to rely only on the optical image stabilization. I'm actually quite happy and surprised that finally OnePlus managed to implement an optical image stabilization on their phones, guys. Finally, after so many years. And now we're gonna go and see the seaside. If you know what's the name of this place, by the way, leave a comment in the comment section down below. You're gonna get 2 bonus points. Yeah, I'm so generous. So let's let's just look at the seaside over here to see what do we have. Okay, there's a bunch of people over here. We might test the zoom actually. Let's see, on the OnePlus I've got 1 and 2. These are the options. 2, and on the Galaxy I can actually zoom in. Now there's 2. Yes, now it's 2x on both phones, guys. I can't really use pinch to zoom. Oh, I can actually. Oh, let me see, what do we have? 8. Yes, that's the maximum I can do on the OnePlus. And on the Galaxy I can do 8 as well. Okay, so basically that's 8 times stabilization, guys. Stabilization, 8 times zoom on both phones. It looks terrible on both phones, to be honest with you, but let's let's quickly jump back to the regular. Yeah, okay, now it's much better. Alrighty then, let's just do a quick sprint over here, guys, to see what we're gonna get. Okay, by the way, I forgot to say, on the OnePlus we've got 2 16 megapixel cameras, and on the Galaxy we've got 1 12 megapixel camera, but that doesn't really matter when it comes down to videos anyways. So now let's just quickly, actually let's test the autofocus. Let me find an object which I can test it with. Those glasses, they're not the perfect object to do that with, but I guess you're gonna see what the result is. From what I can see on the screens, both phones are excellent actually. So yeah, let's have a look at some photos from both phones, guys, and after that you're gonna hear my conclusion. Okay guys, now for the sake of testing, that's 1080p 60 FPS. Just a quick sprint over here just to see whether we've got stabilization or not, and that's pretty much it. Let's just quickly jump to 1080p just for a second. Okay guys, so that's 1080p 30 FPS, nothing special really. Video stabilization on both phones. Let's just do a quick sprint over here to see what we're gonna get. Yeah, that's about it. Okay guys, so where does it leave us with the camera comparison between the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the OnePlus 6? Now I'm very happy to report that now 2018 is the year that OnePlus finally came out with a proper flagship camera on their phones, which can easily rival the best in that game, which is basically Samsung, Google Pixel and the iPhone as well. So simply put, is the camera of the OnePlus 6 actually better than the one on the S9? And the answer is yes and no at the same time. So hear me out. Simply put, the image quality of the OnePlus 6 during daytime with the Auto HDR option on is actually better, and I prefer it over the S9 because the level of detail is absolutely the same, the field of view of the camera is absolutely the same, and the saturation is a little bit boosted. So the colors and everything looks a little bit more pleasing to the eye, and on the screen it looks absolutely amazing. So for social media you're gonna have absolutely no problems with that, and the video has better stabilization, which is again a Pixel approach and an iPhone approach. Better auto mode for the daytime photos as well as better stabilization for the videos. These are the two main things, and OnePlus finally nailed it. So if you're interested in those two things, OnePlus is gonna get totally the job done, guys. And I said no because when we talk about the geeky stuff, when we talk about the options, productivity and all that, actually the Samsung Galaxy S9 offers the better overall package. Because although the colors are a little bit more boosted and saturated in daytime, actually, I mean, the Samsung Galaxy S9 offers just a little bit better dynamic range as well as a little bit more natural colors. So basically, if you're that kind of thing, you're gonna prefer the photos coming out of the S9 in that case. Now there are some problems with the videos, so let's just talk about the front cameras first actually, and then we're gonna proceed to the back cameras, the bokeh effect and my overall conclusion. Okay, so the front cameras, we've got an 8 megapixel shooter on the S9, which is the same as the one on the S8, and on the OnePlus we've got a 16 megapixel, in my opinion, interpolated camera. But anyway, that's not important because the overall image quality in daytime of this camera on the OnePlus is actually way better and sharper than the one on the Samsung Galaxy S9. Now in nighttime the situation is not that easy. There are way too much noise on the OnePlus camera, and the thing is that on the S9 there's too much noise reduction as well. So basically in low light avoid using any of those cameras, guys. Now in complete darkness both of the phones, you know, shine quite brightly and they can get let's say usable, somewhat usable image. But again, just don't use that if you can. Now the bokeh mode is hands down a win, clear win for the S9 because it's just good, guys. It gets a good job done. And on the OnePlus 6 this functionality is completely broken because half of my photos actually came upside down. I have to flip them around for a video. As well as you can see that the bokeh effect is all over the place, guys. So it's really something that, you know, OnePlus should address. I already told them, I've submitted the bug report, but I'm not sure how they can just release a phone with... Okay, they've released it after they did an upgrade, but at the moment just don't use the bokeh mode, as well as it over sharpens the image to your face. It's a mess. It's really not good. Now when it comes down to videos coming out of these front cameras, guys, again the win goes to the OnePlus 6 because the audio is way louder for whatever reason, and the thing is that the stabilization is way better than the OnePlus 6 rather than on the S9, guys. Now in 4K I saw some issues on the S9. It just doesn't want to focus on my face most of the time, so I really don't know what's the problem here. But it's just overall not very good, and it's not stabilized at all, guys. Now on 1080p we've got a little bit of stabilization, but still it's nowhere as good as the stabilization of the OnePlus 6, which by the way is great, but you have to keep your phone like far away from you because the frame is quite cropped in order to achieve this good stabilization. But anyway, I prefer it that way, guys. So overall I would give the win for the front facing cameras to the OnePlus 6. I think that with the S10 or the new Note or whatever, Samsung really have to up their game with the front facing cameras, guys. Now when it comes down to the back cameras, we've got a 12 megapixel camera on the S9 and one 16 and one interpolated 16 to 20 megapixels at the back. But unfortunately on the OnePlus 6 scenario, the secondary camera over here serves only one purpose: for the bokeh effect. It's not the same as the OnePlus 5 where where the camera was automatically switched on when it reaches a certain amount of darkness. No, this camera is just for the bokeh mode, guys. So basically, I really don't know why do you need a second camera for that, because actually the bokeh coming out of the S9 is pretty much the same as the OnePlus 6, but the only difference is that you have selective autofocus over here. You can change the autofocus after the fact, guys, and the amount of bokeh, where it's limited on the OnePlus 6. So basically Samsung have done kind of a better job with one cameras than OnePlus with two cameras. So I wouldn't say it's fake, but it's kind of unnecessary. As well as think about the Pixel 1 camera, it offers the best bokeh so far. So the secondary camera of the OnePlus 6 is pure marketing, to be honest with you. Now, the other thing which I'm going to talk about is slow motion videos. Both phones are capable of doing that at 720p. You've got 960 FPS slow motion on the S9. The thing is that the interface is not very user friendly. You can't shoot continuously. It triggers automatically from time to time. You can trigger it manually, but it's not very stable, it's not very reliable. But if you get it right, you can get some amazing results, guys. I'm gonna put a compilation of 960 super slow motion videos down in the description down below, where on the OnePlus 6 for the first time we've got a 480 FPS slow motion videos, and they're quite alright actually. At least they don't have any limits, so you can shoot as long as you can, and they're very well stabilized as well. So kudos for OnePlus for trying, and it's interesting that they're actually offering this option, guys. Now, when we talk about videos from the back cameras, generally the videos from the OnePlus 6 are a little bit oversaturated and they don't actually look that natural, although I kind of prefer it that way compared to the S9, guys. Now, both of those phones actually have image stabilization, optical one, which is great news. Finally, OnePlus brought back the optical image stabilization, which is much needed. Now, in 4K 60 FPS, we don't have the digital stabilization kicking in. We only have the optical image stabilization, and overall the results are pretty much the same for both phones. You need some sort of gimbal or something like that. I've got the Xiaomi gimbal coming down next week, by the way, so stay tuned for that video, guys. Now, in terms of audio, it's very interesting that the audio is very comparable. Now, with the front-facing cameras, we have a difference in the audio, but over here, the audio quality is very, very close. The Samsung Galaxy S9 is doing 256 kilobits of audio, where the OnePlus 6 is doing 155 kilobits, which is a boost compared to the OnePlus 5's 96 kilobits, guys. But audio, you have no problems with the audio. Now, when it comes down to 4K 30 FPS, guys, the stabilization is way better on the OnePlus 6, and there are some issues with the dynamic FPS on the Samsung Galaxy S9. They have to just get rid of that because it looks a little bit choppy, and I'm really not sure why they haven't still fixed that. If you watch Super Saf, you probably have seen that in his videos when the phone came out, that he was reporting the same thing, and he was saying that hopefully Samsung are going to fix that. But again, 30 FPS, it just looks choppy. I don't know if it's the stabilization issues or the dynamic FPS, but it's just not good look, guys. Now, when it comes down to 1080p videos, I'm actually surprised that we actually do not have an electronic image stabilization 1080p 60 FPS on the OnePlus 6, where actually we do have both stabilizations working on 60 FPS on 1080p on the Samsung Galaxy S9. So basically that's a bonus point for the S9. But on the other hand, the regular 30 FPS 1080p videos are way more stabilized on the OnePlus 6, but they're not that sharp. So basically, if you want kind of, a good 60 FPS video and stabilized, stick to the 1080p of the S9. And if you're using a tripod or something like that, you can enjoy, 4K from both phones, but you're into just stabilization in 4K, the OnePlus 6 is the better option at the moment. And that brings us down to my final point of the video, guys. How is actually the camera quality of the photos of both of those phones, guys? Now, I can happily report, I already told you that actually the frame that you're looking at, the frame of the photo, is absolutely the same from both phones, even though one is 16 megapixel, the other one is 12 megapixel, as well as the level of detail is absolutely the same. I guess that's because of the difference in the size of the pixels, But anyway, in this case, it doesn't really matter if the camera is 12 megapixels or 16 megapixels actually. So basically, during the day, I prefer the photos coming out of the OnePlus 6 that are a little bit more saturated with probably a little bit more details. So this is my preference when it comes down to daylight photos. As well as you can see the photos from the arcades, when you're indoor, when you have a good lighting, actually the photos are more pleasing to the eye, the ones from the OnePlus 6. Now when it comes down to low light, unfortunately both phones are not very good yet. On the OnePlus 6 there's quite a lot of grain going on, and they don't have any kind of noise reduction filters or any sort, and as well as the OnePlus 6 inherited the blue tint when it comes down to low light photos from the OnePlus 5, guys, and I'm really not very happy with this camera. It's a little bit better than the OnePlus 5, but still kind of not very reliable and good enough in low light. Where on the Samsung Galaxy S9, because of the variable aperture over here, it lets more light actually into the lens in nighttime, which improves the image quality just a little bit. But the thing is that Samsung is very aggressive in terms of reducing the noise, and basically the photos looks like this oil painting effect that we are actually talking about the previous OnePlus devices. So again, not particularly good for low light as well, guys. And I'm sure that, for example, phones like the P20 Pro are actually better than both of those phones. But anyway, low light, not very good. Now the flash, with the flash, when you activate the flash in full darkness, both phones are doing an excellent job. And I mean, it is very close, guys. Both of those cameras are actually quite close, and I didn't really expect this result, to be honest with you, because in the end of the day, if you're lucky, you can get the base model of the OnePlus 6 for £420, something like that, which is a pretty good price for a new flagship camera phone, guys. So to conclude this video, I mean, which camera are you going to choose? We're gonna be happy with both cameras, guys, because of the amazing screens of both phones. The pictures looks absolutely amazing for social media. It's absolutely good enough from both phones, and even if you upload them to the computer, you're gonna be actually quite happy of the photos coming out of those two phones, guys. Well, that was a problem with the OnePlus 5T. If you remember, if you watched my comprehensive camera test on the screen, the photos were looking amazing, but once you upload them to the computer, they were looking quite terrible actually. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that we have an actual improvement on the cameras on the OnePlus 6, and OnePlus 6 is officially in the game of the flagship cameras, guys. So pretty much that's it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you got one of those phones and if you're actually happy with the camera. Let me know what your experience is. But overall, I will be happy, and I can definitely say that when I go on holiday this year, I'm gonna get the OnePlus 6 with me this time, guys, because finally it delivers a very good flagship level cameras for 2018. Thank you very much for staying that long into the video. If you still haven't subscribed, well, I don't know how you're still watching this video, but anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. In one of my next videos, I'm gonna do a comprehensive full comparison between those two phones apart from the cameras. So yeah, thank you very much for watching again. Stay tuned and adios.